Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I found this article and I found this incredibly interesting. This actually goes back to some of the things that I was saying in my report that David Benioff and D.B. Weiss had left the Star Wars franchise. This is from Variety. Justin Kroll and Brent Lang, not small names in the industry, actually really big names. And some of the stuff that they've echoed here is genuinely what I had already said. I thought I'd bring you this because it is interesting. It's basically how no one wants to work for Disney and Lucasfilm anymore. They're just in trouble because they just keep firing people. There's too much pressure. There's too much studio interference. And why would any big name want to work for them? Let's remove David Benioff and D.B. Weiss because there's multiple reasons why they would have exited the project, of course. So let's remove them from this. And let's look at the wider narrative at play here, which I absolutely agree with. So I thought I'd just chuck you this video prior to me heading out and watching Dr. Sleep, which I'll be bringing you my review on later today. But let's look at this. So it's become almost comical on Monday, and it really has become almost comical. The amount of people coming and going from Disney and Lucasfilm is insane. Star Wars is a shit show. Now, a lot of people say that these guys leaving is a good thing. I probably agree with you. But it also just shows that the whole thing is falling apart. Now, it says, on Monday, Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss became the latest high-profile talents to part ways with the Star Wars universe before their movies hit theatres. They're part of a revolving door of A-list directors who found it impossible to realise their visions in a corporate culture that is said to invite little creative independence and argument. And that's the thing, right? It's funny, we long lamented Fox becoming part of Disney, but Fox has a massive history of studio interference. I think they fit right at home under Disney's belt of, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, no, we don't want that, no, we don't want this. And I get it, you know, if they're putting all the money up, of course they would want to control it so they can earn as much money back. But at a certain point, you do need to let the creative forces that you've hired to be creative forces. It's funny, again, like I say, a lot of people lamented Fox becoming part of Disney, but they're the same. They are the same. Who wants to work for Fox these days? Or did anyway. There were very few people. And even reports of Ridley Scott being bossed around by Fox, adding stuff when he didn't want to add it, and just saying, you want this, I'll give you F in this, and it's just crazy. And I've long said this as well, that, you know, back in the day, we've got the cult classic movies that we have today because the studio took risks on these up and coming filmmakers. The filmmakers that are high profile now are the ones which the studios took risks on. Genuinely. I mean, Ridley Scott, for instance, Alien. That was a huge risk. And they got him and thinking that it was going to be like a C movie, just this piece of crap film. They didn't expect it to be anything that it was. But studios don't take any risks anymore. And this is part and parcel of that. This is why Star Wars will forever be just junk. Or the junk that we're currently getting. Now it says, they joined the ranks of Josh Trank, Colin Trevorrow, Phil Lord and Chris Miller in being summarily dismissed from the Star Wars productions that they were intended to helm. That's a lot of people. That's not a small amount. That's really not. So you got David Benioff, D.B. Weiss. Okay, 2 people. Josh Trank, 3. Colin Trevorrow, 4. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, 5 and 6. I mean, if you're talking about actual just people, it's a lot. That is a lot. It's not a small amount at all. Now, in films of the size and scale of Star Wars, it's not unheard of for productions to run into heated creative disagreements. But the high rate of turnover is raising eyebrows across Hollywood and among the rabid base of fans. It's also inspiring questions about the management style of Kathleen Kennedy, the executive tasked with guiding Lucasfilm and with finding fresh ways to expand a galaxy far, far away. And that's the other thing, right? It's not only Kathleen Kennedy, but you got to think about Disney on a whole. Because there were plenty of people that have exited ways from the Marvel franchise as well. Because they were very much, no, you must do it like this. Loads of people have exited the Marvel franchise over creative differences. And that's all under Disney's umbrella. And that's something which does need to be taken into account here. It's not just Lucasfilm, it's Disney. It's Disney on a whole. Now it says, it's like if you take a job as a Star Wars director or creator, you're automatically thrown in the Sarlacc pit, and your chances of getting out and making that film are so unlikely, you have to almost be a Jedi Master, says Jeff Box. He's a box office analyst with exhibitor relations. Even directors who retained credit for their work experienced issues. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, helmer Gareth Edwards was essentially replaced by Tony Gilroy during extensive reshoots. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's what's come out now, is that he, yeah, like basically did the whole thing. Like literally reshot the majority of the film. So you what you make and what actually gets put to screen is, well, it's a far cry, isn't it? I mean, that's embarrassing. Why would you want to? Where's the incentive? That's an embarrassment. You wouldn't want to be like, yeah, I worked on Rogue One. Did you do that? No. What about this third act? No. So what's yours then? Oh, that opening scene. Fucking hell. Now it goes on and continues. When Kennedy and her team pitched these filmmakers on joining the Star Wars family, sources say they were promised some measure of creative control. However, multiple insiders said new ideas were commonly shot down, as Kennedy and her team were only looking for people to stick to the company line. If disagreements about the directors of the film became too intense, it usually led to the person leaving the project rather than an attempt to find common ground. The Lucasfilm Brain Trust would often turn in new writers such as Lord and Miller before ultimately retreating to old standbys such as Lawrence Kasdan, the Empire Strikes Back writer, who is still seen as a key sounding board on the productions. Even if the lack of an appetite for creative risk isn't to blame, there are questions about whether the abrupt departures of key talent points to a problem in how directors and writers are being vetted and hired. That's the thing, right? Even if the people leaving have justifiable reasons for leaving, that's still an embarrassment that so many people have left your projects in such a short space of time. Like, surely you'd vet all of this out in the hiring and firing situation. You just be like, look, this is how we're going to do it. Do you agree to that? Yes or no? No? Don't worry about it then. We'll find someone else. Like, fuck, it's not difficult, is it? Literally, it's a job application. It's an interview. You just say, this is what we want you to do. Can you do it? Yes, no, okay. It's not rocket science. Now, Benioff and Weiss had ambitious plans to take the Star Wars universe in a new direction, one that would exist apart from the Skywalker family saga that comprised the franchise centerpiece 9-film series. The Star Wars period the pair were interested in exploring was how the Jedi came to exist, which would have been epic. Not necessarily under them, but still would have been epic, the time period anyway. Now it says, however, Lucasfilm executives and the creatives begin to see their visions for the film diverge during meetings last summer. News that the pair had signed a massive $250 million production deal with Netflix was a signal to many that they were eager to explore other opportunities. The writing was long on the wall for this. It also brought pressures when the pact was announced. Netflix said it was aware of the duo's commitments, but insiders say they were also wary of waiting as much as 4 years for them to wrap up work on Star Wars. The streaming service wanted Benioff and Weiss to focus on creating exclusive movies and shows for them, particularly when they looked out at a streaming landscape that is growing ever more competitive with the launch of Disney Plus and HBO Max. Very, very competitive market nowadays. Now it continues on even further, and this is where it gets interesting. As relations with Benioff and Weiss curdled, the studio had begun taking general meetings with other writers on possible Star Wars pitches. It's unclear if these were just sit-down exploring other related productions in the franchise cinematic and streaming universe, but the departure of the two likely sends a very uneasy message, but it also puts the studio back to the drawing board with the future of the series. They're cancelled, basically. Like, all of those things that were going to happen is cancelled. The Knights of the Old Republic film, done. Bye-bye. We've got the last of the Star Wars Skywalker saga done. And we've got The Mandalorian, and that's basically it, isn't it? What else do we have? Nothing. Now it says, continues, and again, this is where it gets interesting. Sources at the studio insist that Kennedy's job is secure. It's a well-placed cough. Despite the churn of filmmaking talent. How long is she going to keep her fucking job for? But insiders at the talent agencies believe the top filmmakers may become wary of working on the series, particularly if the end result will be an embarrassing dismissal. Star Wars fans did receive some welcome news when it was revealed that Kevin Feige, the executive credited with guiding the Marvel Cinematic Universe, will work on a standalone Star Wars film. That led to speculation that Feige might be brought in to stabilise Lucasfilm, but insiders say that there are no plans to give him a larger role in that division. And he probably can't now because his role with Marvel's been expanded even further, although it could be expanded to an overseer role and then given more control of Lucasfilm. It's difficult to say. But how the hell is Kathleen Kennedy still in business? How is she working? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. No idea. Who is going to want to work on this franchise now? Like, and I know everyone's just going to go, yeah, well, of course they do. It's going to bucket load of money. I don't think so. Because these filmmakers are not stupid. Why would they want to work on a film that they're told to make? So it's like made by committee. It's literally the board members say we need this. Go and do it. What filmmaker that's actually good, mind you, let's chuck that out there. What filmmaker that's actually good is going to want to sit down, just take one for the team, just for cash? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are some people, but are they good? Are they of the caliber that you're going to get excited about? Probably not. Like Ron Howard, I don't think many people were that excited for Ron Howard. Fine. Wasn't particularly special, was it? You know, nothing spectacular. Who else have we got? Well, J.J. Abrams. Who cares about J.J. Abrams? Mystery Box Man. No one cares about him either. Gareth Edwards. No, what was it? Was it Gareth Edwards or Colin Trevorrow? Gareth Edwards. Yeah, gone. He could have been quite good. Gone. Shocking. Rian Johnson? No one wants him back. I don't understand. Like, no one's going to want to work on this shit heap of a franchise any longer. And it was exactly the same with Marvel, remember, ladies and gents? So it's not Lucasfilm, it's Disney. It is Disney. It's how they manage stuff. It's terrible. And Marvel was the same. It was the same. Paint-by-numbers movies for years on end. And I know there'll be people watching this now that don't remember it because they were, I don't know, again, it's been going for a while, so they probably weren't out at the time. They probably weren't watching them at the time that they initially came out. But they were just paint-by-numbers crap at the start. You know, yes, there were some good movies in there, but they did become literally shot-for-shot remakes of one another. The movies were you could just predict what was going to happen. It's only in the last couple years that Marvel has actually started to become expanding with their creative vision for the franchise on a whole. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please do let me know. I'm going to be heading off over to watch Dr. Sleep today. Expect my review out sometime later. I mean, the movie's like 2.5 hours, half an hour of adverts. That's 3 hours. I've got to drive there and back. It's going to be a long day. Literally just to watch a movie. Crazy. But I am looking forward to it. So stay subscribed and stay tuned with the bell notification icon turned on for my review of Dr. Sleep. Only horror movie that's out, really, so bit of a shame. But yeah, if you want to support the channel further, please do. I've got Patreon linked down below. That really helps me out. I'm actually playing 2 games for Patreons. A lot of people ask me to play games. I do. It's just for Patreons, though. So if you do want to watch me play Moons of Madness, a Lovecraft game in space, check that out. That's what I'm playing. And I'm also playing Deliver Us the Moon, 2 Moon games, coincidentally. So please do go check them out. I've also got Teespring underneath every single video where you can rock some awesome Mr. H merch. Don't worry, it's not got my ugly face on it. It's all epic designs. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.